It was so dry. I'm sure you were too.
Oh, yeah.
Got so many pages, I couldn't staple it all together, so. I hope this isn't a 2-hour presentation, I didn't have so many.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Shan. It's ready to go, and on here, I'll just experiment, see which way goes which. Okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself or do you want me to say something? We all know Marlis, and you know she's knows everything about plants, and she knows everything about cooking, and she knows everything about food preservation. I be every once in a while.
I can't raise everything.
So we're going to learn all about what to do with the weeds other than pull them. We're going to make good stuff with them.
Yeah.
Do you eat them?
Yes. In fact, I'll set this one over by the food, but this one you can eat just like this. Pick it.
What is it?
This is purslane, and you can
I've got it.
put it.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah, everywhere. And the thing, well, I'll talk about that.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let you know that we're winding down for the year. We've got 2 more sessions. Next month, I'm gonna do on shade gardens. And then,
The Amazing World of Fungi.
there we go. Yay. So as we're winding down, if you have ideas of things that you would like us to talk about, bring those ideas to us. And I'm sure there's somebody in our group that's interested in that thing that would love to talk about it. So if you've got ideas for us, let us know. In the meantime, we're going to be eating weeds, right?
Right. Okay, let's see which way do I have to, good. Seed Library is sponsored by the Missouri Valley Master Gardeners, and we appreciate the help that we get from the Yankton Library for a meeting place, and a lot of things that they do for us, like being able to have seeds available for people and doing a lot of our publicity and all of those kinds of things. So it's a good cooperative effort. Okay, Native Americans utilized all the plants around them. They knew exactly which plants were edible and which were poisonous, and that was because of trial and error. And so they knew which plants to stay away from, and they knew which plants were good to eat, and they knew which plants were medicinal. The Great Spirit is in all things. He's in the air we breathe. The Great Spirit is our Father, but the earth is our mother. She nourishes us. That which we put into the ground, she returns to us. And we'll come back to that as we talk a little bit more about foraging. So the first part of my presentation is strictly about the weeds that you will commonly recognize. You may not know their names, but you'll know, oh yeah, I've got that one in my yard. So these are kind of the yard and garden weeds. And then foraging is taking that another step beyond that. So my husband and I love to travel with a group called Road Scholar. They are an educational tour group. So it was last summer that we went to Superior, Wisconsin, and we spent a whole day with the native people there, and they told us about their lifestyle and their treaties, and you know they still have rights to their hunting and fishing lands from way back through the treaties. And then we had a medicine woman who took us on a walk through the woods, and this is one of the unique things that she found, that she pointed out for us. You won't find them here, but you might find them in the woods somewhere. And they're called ghost pipe, and they're actually a fungi. And they use those for medicinal purposes, but I don't remember what. I could probably look it up. Okay, why would you ever eat weeds when we have all kinds of garden plants that we can eat, fruits that we can buy in the grocery store, and so on, but using the weeds instead of just leaving them there to reproduce will reduce the seed bank in your garden. So a lot of weeds have thousands, one plant has thousands of seeds. I mean, think just of one little dandelion head and how many seeds might be in there that blow on the wind and end up growing somewhere else. So by eating these, they're not going to go to seed. And that means we're putting less potential seed into the ground. And plants, these weeds have not been genetically modified in any way. If that's something that bothers you or that you're concerned about, that you don't want to be eating genetically modified food, well, these haven't been. They provide different flavors, textures, and nutrients, and you won't know what they taste like until you try them. And some you might really like, and some you might, no, I don't really like that. They can also reduce your produce bill. And they probably don't have cyclosporum, so. Before you get going on this too much, you really need to educate yourself. And because there are weeds that you do not want to eat. Some interact with medications. Some, if you are allergic to another plant in that family, you would probably be allergic to that weed as well, if it's related. But use multiple resources. Now this is where I got my title for the presentation. It's Eat Your Weeds. My daughter gave me this for my birthday gift a year ago. And it's got little pictures of the weeds. It tells you what they're, how you can identify them, what time of the year you might be able to use them, how they use them, and so on. So this is a good resource. Then this is not going to tell you anything about eating weeds or nutrition or anything like that, but it's fantastic for identifying weeds. So if you're not sure what they are, they've got big colored pictures. And in addition to the pictures, they will tell you like, its seeds are lens to spindle shaped, black, lustrous, and so on. They give you a description of all the parts of the plant as well. And these are plants that grow here. This is produced in Nebraska. This is another field guide similar to the Nebraska one, but this is more scientific. So if you're into all the scientific stuff, this might be a book that you like. It gives you really good maps and shows you where would you find this weed. And then these other books are about foraging or eating the plants. And this one, again, they've got nice pictures. They tell you kind of, in some cases, what they might taste like, maybe where you would find them growing. This one's called Edible Wild. I got all of these on the bibliography at the end. So again, same kind of thing, pictures, descriptions, and I think this is the one of these has recipes right on the pages with it. This is Foraging, A Way of Life, and this is my favorite book to just read. And it gives you cautions, it gives you recipes, it tells you like if a plant has mold on it, why you shouldn't eat it, and so on. So proper identification is crucial for identifying whether or not that weed is actually edible or if it's toxic. They include information about the season, availability, So which season would you find these plants and which part would be edible during that season? They include tips for harvesting methods, preparation instructions, and recipe ideas. And of course, you can find recipes on the internet too. And if you've ever tried other recipes, some are really good and some are not so hot. You can download apps to help you with identifying plants, and iNaturalist is one of those that I would recommend. Learn the scientific names of the plants because depending on where you live, the same plant might have different names. This I remember from my childhood and is actually mallow, but my mother called it Käsebabala, which if you are German, you may understand that. Käse is cheese and Babala is button. So these seeds are like little wheels of cheese, but they're button size and they're edible. Start with a few common, easily identified species that you know, like dandelions or plantain. And talk to local foragers because they are like those Native Americans that have experimented with eating plants and they know what is edible and what might not be. And I personally don't know anybody who forages, but there are people that absolutely do that. If you have allergies or sensitivities, be extra careful because related plants may cause reactions. And so only try one new thing at a time. You know, don't go out and pick every weed in your yard and say, I'm gonna make a main dish and a dessert and a salad and everything, a soup, all and eat to have them in one meal. Well, if you do have a reaction like an upset stomach or a rash or anything like that, how would you know which plant it was that caused that? So start with one, and then you might not react the next day, but maybe in a couple of days you would. So be aware of any underlying medical conditions you may have and of the medicines that you are taking, and be absolutely certain they are compatible with your plants. And so some of these books, and it will help you cut through stems and dig up those tap roots. I know I've got one here with a tap root. Here we go. So it helps you dig up tap roots. Gloves protect your hands from thorns, prickles, and potential irritants. Choose gloves that are made of breathable material and that are soft enough and thin enough that you can feel the plants and handle them safely. Pruners. And you want the ones with the curved blades, not the straight blades. Pruners they're stronger than like a scissors, and you can cut stems and sometimes herbs. If you're raising herbs in your garden at the end of the season, they get real tough and hard to cut. And a scissors, even though this is a nice scissors for just snipping those soft plants. And a hand trowel will loosen the soil around the plant and help you harvest these tap roots or even tubers. Some of the weeds have tubers that you can use. Okay, harvesting. Now you're going out there, you've got these weeds. How do I harvest them and use them? Make sure your plants have not been sprayed with pesticides. Now in your own yard and your own garden, you know whether or not pesticides have been used. Harvest young leaves for fresh greens. So a lot of these weeds are best in the spring, before they flower, when the leaves are tiny and new and fresh. They don't have as strong a flavor then. Mature leaves are good for sauteed recipes. So, you know, like these weeds are what I would call mature. And they're good for using in cooked recipes. If you're going to use the flowers, cover the flowers with a dark cloth before harvesting, and that will take away some of the bitter flavor if they happen to be bitter. Dig your roots with a knife or a trowel, and morning is the best time to harvest. Okay, let's get going on these weeds. Catnip. This is catnip. It's not the same as catmint. I should put these in order. We'll do that. Okay, catnip. Some cats love it. It's a genetic thing. So some cats, if they get into catnip, will just go crazy. We have a cat named Nipper, and it's not because he bites. When the first 2 leaves of the catnip is up, he finds it and he eats the whole thing, and then he just goes crazy. So my other cat, if he finds catnip or you give him some, he could care less, and he just ignores it, but it's a genetic thing. It is a member of the mint family, and it adds a mild mint flavor. So it's got, I don't know if you can tell it on there. Yes, you can tell it's got a square stem, which is characteristic of mint. So all mints spread easily. So this is one you may want to dig the plant to use it if you don't want it spreading. Use it before it flowers. So this is ideal. The flowers haven't emerged on this catnip yet. If you eat it in large quantities, it can cause nausea. So you don't want to overdo it. And chop the leaves to reduce fuzz. If you feel that catnip when you come up here, you can feel it's just, oh, they're such nice, soft, fuzzy leaves. Not spiky, they're not gonna hurt you, they feel good, they feel like velvet. Add to salads, omelets, soups, pancakes, and breads. So if you're going to add it like to your bread or your pancakes, chop those up into real tiny pieces. Dried leaves make a calming tea. So it might make the cats go crazy, but it will calm you down. So you can drink a cup of tea while you wash your cat frolic. Oil from the leaves helps repel mosquitoes. So you could actually take those leaves, break them off, rub them on your skin, and try to keep the mosquitoes away. It is high in antioxidants, and antioxidants are really good for you. They do a lot of like preventing colds and flu and those kinds of things. So, sources warn against using during pregnancy as it may cause uterine contractions. So this is one that's got some negative side effects in certain situations. Now, I did make for you, and I don't think I've got enough cookies, so you may need to share. These are oatmeal catnip cookies. And to me, I cannot taste them. I can't taste the catnip until after I'm done with the cookie, and then there's a mild mint flavor in my mouth. Chickweed. Notice the flower petals. They are a 5-petal flower, and this is an identifying feature of a chickweed, but they've got a little indent in them, so if you look at them real fast, it almost looks like they have 10 petals. And there's also a row of tiny hairs on one side of the stem, and I don't know how to describe this. Let's see. Okay. Yes, this catnip, the leaves are directly across from each other. So if this was chickweed, you'd have a little row of hairs on this side, and then after those 2 leaves, then they'd be on this side, and then when you get to the next 2 leaves, they go back and forth on. So the flower and also those hairs on the stem are good ways of identifying chickweed. Raw tastes like iceberg lettuce, and the fresh greens are great in sandwiches. It can be stringy, so you might want to chop this up before you cook it. But then you can use it in omelets, quiches, pizza, pasta sauce, soups. It contains copper, iron, vitamin A, and vitamin C, and it does resemble some toxic plants. So that's why you need to look at the flowers and watch for those little rows of hairs on the stem. Common mallow, that's the one that my mom called case papilla. All parts are edible. And this is also known as ground ivy. And I'm sorry, some of these plants don't like to be taken out of the ground, even if they're in water. So just, you can look at the leaves and see what they look like. That's exactly what they look like, but now on my plant, they're all wilted. You can add the young leaves to salad. If you cook with it, the leaves have a thickening agent in them. So if you like added them to your soup, they would give it a little thicker consistency. You can make roasted leaf chips. And to do that, just lightly coat them with oil, sprinkle them with salt, and roast at a high temperature in your oven for just a few minutes until they're crispy. Leaves are tasty added to lasagna, but it takes a lot of leaves because they really shrink when they're cooked. Green seed pods taste like peas, and they do. And so if you like green peas fresh out of the pod in your garden, these little seed pods here taste just like a green pea. And help yourself if you want to. The tap roots can be boiled in water. Then you strain the water off and use it as an egg white replacement. Why do you suppose this plant is, this plant is called mallow. What do you think it used to be used to make? Marshmallows.
Ah.
Crabgrass. This is a healthy specimen. And these are the seed heads. And that's the parts you would use. I have never used crabgrass. I pull it, I fight it. Husking the seed heads is difficult, and that's what you have to do. So you would take these seed heads off after they're dry. These are green. And you strip the seed heads off, put them in a bag, and let them dry completely. And then in order to get the seeds out, you have to use like a mortar and pestle to do that. So it's not an easy task. But this is kind of cool because if they're raw, whoops, I guess I've got to go to the next slide. If they're raw, you can use them like rice. You can cook them and use them like rice. If you toast them, and to do that, just put them on the top of your stove in a pan and shake the pan around until they smell nutty. And you can use that like you would use couscous. You can pound them after you toast them, and they can be mixed in with your flour to add some nutrients and flavor. And do not use this if the plant has any mold. What they have found with plants that are moldy is there's a substance in there that when you eat it, turns into coumadin in your body, which is a blood thinner. So that would be something you absolutely want to avoid if you are taking any blood thinners. And if you're not taking blood thinners, you probably wouldn't want to eat too much of it. And so crabgrass is one of those, and I did not put them in here because of the danger. The clovers, red clover and white clover, also do that with thinning your blood if they have any mold on the plant at all. So I didn't even put them in my presentation. Because I thought, maybe we want to just avoid that. Creeping Charlie. And in case you didn't notice, I've got the scientific names for these on here. This is a mild aromatic mint-like tang, and it acts like a ground cover. So you know, it really spreads. You can toss fresh young leaves into salad. You can use it to flavor soups, stews, and omelets. The mature leaves can be cooked like spinach, and you can use the dried leaves as tea to get your vitamin C, iron, and potassium. Dandelion, that one can be used for all kinds of things. Now, why do we have dandelions? Because the Europeans had dandelions in their garden, and they used the dandelions for food. And so they brought the seeds to the United States when they came here, and they did very well here. And they spread everywhere. And make sure you collect this only from unsprayed areas, because people do spray lawns. They don't want dandelions in their lawns. Now, I have used my dandelions to the point where this year I did not have enough dandelions. I always make dandelion jelly. And this year I didn't have enough dandelions to make dandelion jelly. So, or to make my dandelion bread that I always make. So that's what happens when you eat your weeds. Pretty soon you end up with very few. You can use these any time of year, but use only the newest leaves. And this is one that I dug up this morning, and it is not ready to bloom yet. So that would be the ideal stage to use those leaves. Leaves are best before the flowers appear, and the reason a lot of people don't like dandelions is they do tend to be a little bit bitter, those greens. They can be used raw in salads or sandwiches. You can dry them for baking, for tea, for casseroles. The flowers can be battered and fried, and the petals can be used for jelly and in breads and wine. And as I said, I do make dandelion jelly. And I do make dandelion bread, which is basically a sweet bread with some dandelion petals in it. But it's kind of unique and kind of pretty. Okay, how do you get the petals out? Well, it's got this green calyx around the bottom. So you kind of peel that away. And then you hang on to that and you just pull the petals out. Whoops, I got part of the calyx there. Because you only want to use the petals. And I'll leave them by my dandelion plant here.
So do you sprinkle that into your bread, or do you leave it a piece whole?
No, you can,
So kind of saffron looking?
yeah, it's got the little yellow threads in there. Okay. So, I mean, it doesn't add anything to the bread other than these little yellow flakes in there, which are kind of fun. The jelly is very time consuming, because I pick a whole bucket full of flowers, just the flowers. And then they all have to have this done to them. So every flower, it's handled like that until you have enough petals to make the jelly. But the jelly is very pretty. It's yellow, and it tastes like honey. It's anti-inflammatory and contains vitamins A, C, K, and calcium. So dandelions are really very nutritious. We should be eating more of them. The early blue violet, this one you use mostly the flowers. I have one here. Let's see. Oh, I've been forgetting to move these around. There we go. Place it in a bowl of sugar. Just take the flowers off, make sure they're clean, throw them in a bowl of sugar, and then you can use the sugar in your baking, and it adds just a little flavor to that. You can eat the flour raw. You can freeze it into ice cubes. And you can solar infuse your drinking water. So take a jug of water, set it outside in the sun with a bunch of flowers in it. You just strain it off and it gives you just a little flowery flavor. The leaves can be added to smoothies. Eat them raw in salad, used to thicken soup and stews, and add to lasagna. One thing to be cautious about here is the roots and seeds are toxic, so you only want to use the leaves and flowers. And a point of interest, natives soaked their corn seeds in water with violet roots before they planted them. And that toxicity from the violet root served as a pre-planting insecticide for their corn. Another interesting thing, and you can see that on this plant, there is one seed case here that has already popped open. Flower stalks in the summertime, the seed pods are white and purple, they're close to the ground, and when it's ripe, it pops open and catapults the seeds away, and that's how it spreads. And they're coated with a special oil that ants find irresistible. So the ants pick up those seeds, carry them back into their ant hills, and guess what? Those seeds grow. So the ants are helping to spread them around. Lamb's quarter, that's this one. And that's used a lot for people who eat weeds. They really, really like this one. You can use it like spinach, either raw or cooked. And I have a friend who I pick lamb's quarter for her and bring her a whole bucket full because she loves to use lamb's quarter and doesn't have enough. So you can use the plant until it flowers. And after it flowers, then you probably should use the leaves. Now this one contains thousands of seeds that will live up to 40 years in your soil before they sprout. So you really don't want to let lamb's quarters get away from you. It contains oxalic acid, which is what rhubarb has in it that makes it that real tart. And it can hinder absorption of calcium, so you don't want to overdo how much you eat. And people with kidney stones or gout should limit their intake of raw leaves. But it's eliminated when you cook it. So if you have kidney stones or gout, you don't have to worry about eating the cooked leaves, just the raw leaves. Seeds can be used in bread and sprouted for microgreens. And the seeds contain saponins. Now, saponins means soap. And you can use the seeds to make a hand cleanser, and it kind of bubbles up a little bit. And because the seeds are rough, it also acts as an exfoliant. So it's really good to use after you've been gardening. To collect the seeds, cut off the entire seed head and put it head first into a paper bag, let it dry, and then inside that paper bag, you can just rub the seed heads and they will separate out. It's easier than crab grass. To use, soak the seeds overnight to remove the saponins. You don't want to eat the saponins. That's eating soap, yuck. And then rinse, and you can add them to bread dough. Now, saponins in high doses can be irritating to your stomach. So, again, not too much. Purslane, that's this one, and I'll put that down at the end of the table so that you can take a leaf and taste it if you want to. It grows close to the ground. It has fleshy, paddle-shaped leaves. It kind of grows out like a doily, and if you find the roots, you pull the whole thing up. It's very easy to pull. However, if you throw that plant on damp ground, it re-roots itself, even if you've pulled it.
It's a succulent, right?
Yeah, it's a succulent. And so you don't want to just pull the weeds and then leave them there. because then you'll be pulling them all again. You can add it raw to salads, including potato salad. You can put it in sandwiches. You can thicken soups and stews. And you can make pickles. So just put fresh purslane in a jar, pour your pickle brine over it, leave it in the refrigerator for 3 to 7 days. You can try this too. The juice of the plant is soothing for sunburn. And this contains vitamin A, iron, and it's very rare that these plants have omega-3 fatty acids, but purslane does. So I'll put this one down here. Now you've got 3 things you can taste. It contains 10 to 20 times more melatonin, which is a sleep aid, than any other fruit or vegetable that has been tested. And the pigment in the leaves and flowers are also antioxidants. And I think if you look, those might have a few flowers on them. Plantain. This is plantain. It looks really sad here. It didn't like to be dug up. It's got its little seed heads coming up here. You probably recognize that one. That likes to grow in places that aren't very hospitable to most plants, like the driveway. It has large flat leaves. They grow close to the ground and they have very tough leaf veins. And you can see that on these older leaves, which are the ones that were close to the ground. It's best eaten when the leaves are young. If you want to use the old leaves, cut the veins out. You can use it in salad, soup, stews. The green seed spikes like these, you can cook and eat like corn. And the mature seeds can be used in baking. The seeds are high in fiber. The leaves contain calcium, calcium, vitamin C, and potassium. And the fiber is psyllium. Psyllium is used to make Metamucil. So it's a natural laxative. And if you are consuming a lot of the seeds, be sure you drink plenty of water. For skin care, make a smoothie with plantain leaves and avocado oil. Just put equal parts into a blender. Put it in the freezer and use it as a moisturizer for your skin. Can you imagine how good that would feel? To put that cool paste of leaves on your face. Let it dry until your skin tightens and then wash it off with lukewarm water. And this can also be used like if you're out foraging or whatever and you cut yourself, you can chew up the leaves and then take that and smear it on your cut and it stops the bleeding. Okay, so these are the leaves that I have around my farm. And probably, or the plants. Many of you probably have these same weeds and recognize that when the pictures came up. So if you try eating your weeds in your yard and garden, and you think, oh, this is kind of fun, and I, developed a liking for some of these weeds, and you want to take it farther, you can become a forager. Now, when I was traveling in Germany, there were all these cars parked by the road, and people were coming out of the woods with baskets. And so we asked our tour guide, what are they doing? They're collecting mushrooms. You should not collect mushrooms unless you know absolutely which mushrooms are edible and will not poison you. So the guidelines for this is don't go collecting mushrooms unless you go with an experienced mushroom collector, because they'll know which ones are edible. So foraging is getting out and beyond your yard and getting into the woods or the prairies or the ditches or whatever to find weeds that don't grow where your yard is. And many plants that grow in the wild are edible. Have any of you ever foraged for asparagus?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's foraging.
yeah.
And the birds will eat the berries off the tame asparagus plants, and then they'll go sit on the fence and make a little deposit that has fertilizer in it even. So that's why you find wild asparagus along fence lines. Only take what you need and leave enough behind for future harvest. And that goes for the asparagus too. So if you've got your asparagus plant located, don't take every stalk. Leave the area as you found it. Don't damage the other plants. Don't destroy them in the process of trying to find your food to eat. And don't leave any litter behind. Take that with you. Make sure the area has not been sprayed with pesticides. And that is a concern with foraging. I mean, I live on a farm and the county comes by and sprays our ditches. If we don't want our ditches sprayed, we have to tell them, and we put signs up, do not spray. And they'll abide by that. But if you're going out there looking for wild plants in the ditches, you would have no idea whether they've been sprayed or not. So you may need to ask, and that leads to the last area. If foraging on private property, ask for permission. I probably would be upset if I saw somebody in my backyard digging up weeds there, even though I might not want that weed myself. But you can also stop and ask, is it okay if I, hunt this in your ditch, and do you know if it's been sprayed? The other thing is, if your community sprays for mosquitoes, the plants in your public park may be contaminated from that spray. So you might want to take that into account before you go foraging in a park. This is burdock, and I walked in with this and someone said, oh, those look like rhubarb leaves, and they do. They get really big. This is a first-year plant because it has not shot up a flower stalk. But I find these in the trees. You will see them growing along the edges of woods. Our neighbors had burdock, lots of burdock growing in their shelter belt, and our dog chased a rabbit through there, and that dog was covered with the burrs from that burdock plant. In fact, he had so many burrs that his tail curled around and it stuck. The tip of his tail stuck to the bottom of his tail, and we could not comb those burrs out. And so he had to get them out himself, and he did with his teeth, little burr by burr. Now they are soft, they're not hard like a cocklebur. But guess what grew wherever the dog was the next year? So this is why I now have some burdock in my trees. This plant can reach 6 to 8 feet tall the second year. It's a biennial. And the burrs, now I put a picture of the burrs here, but they're very soft. They're about as big around as a nickel maybe. They're very soft, but they're very good at sticking. And they were the inspiration for Velcro. So don't let your dog run through a patch of them. This plant may resemble a cocklebur, but this one, all of its stems come out from the center. You can see that there. And in a cocklebur, it's got branches with leaves coming off the branches. Cockleburs are also not stickery, but these are soft, and cockleburs are not soft.
Aren't their leaves shaped a lot different than cockleburs?
Somewhat different. If you're not real good on weeds, you may not notice the
I thought
difference.
they're more round. I don't know.
Well, we can look up
Yeah.
cockleburrs in the book. The roots can be harvested the second year before the flower stalk comes up. And you can use the roots, you can peel it, slice it, use it in stir fry or soup, or you can mix it with other root vegetables. The roots are very difficult to dig. So they can be 6 feet deep and they can weigh 2 to 3 pounds, but they are edible. So if you want to go through all that work, we tried to dig this one out this morning. Well, the ground was so dry, but I mean, the root just broke off after about 3 inches. So the stems can be eaten like broccoli or celery. So you could chop up these stems and use them that way. Burdock contains potassium, phosphorus, and vitamin C, and it can act as a diuretic. So you may need to go to the bathroom a lot. Cattails. The cattails that we see and recognize as cattails with the brown tails, those are already seeds, and you don't eat them once they get brown. And also their leaves kind of resemble irises or lilies, which are poisonous. So make sure you actually are in a cattail patch before you try eating these. The young shoots can be pulled and peeled in the spring and steam or stir fried. Young flower heads can be eaten like corn on the cob, and the pollen can be used like flour. So these are the flower heads. Can you see the cattail there? It looks like cattail, but it's green. And this little fuzzy part on the top is the male part. That's the pollen. So if you're going to eat the cattail, this is the part that you would eat when it's green. And if you want to save the pollen, you can do that and use it like flour. The roots can be peeled, boiled, or roasted. So you just pull the plant straight up and take the root and use that as well. So this contains vitamin B6 and K, magnesium, and potassium.
Marlis, was it last year that they told us that certain things, certain sprays were being used and they said that this year there isn't as many.
I don't know, but that's possible.
There wasn't as many cattails, and I looked along places that had
Yeah.
it for these.
So again, find out whether or not spray has been used there before you harvest them.
Do you find that cattails are more like in swampy
Yes.
ground or like really moist?
Yes,
So maybe part of the drought, or the dryness.
that could be the reason for not having as many cattails too, yes, definitely. Okay, okay, done with that one. The common reed, now, we never used to have these. They are now considered an invasive species. And again, they like moist places. And they grow really tall. And there's a couple of different varieties. These have sort of brown seed heads. We have some near our place that have purple seed heads. And so let's get rid of them. I don't think we can eat them all. They're so many. But the young shoots can be pickled or boiled and eaten like bamboo shoots. So if you're paying attention, you can see when the little green shoot starts coming up way down at the base. You can also make candy while these are still green, not after they're dry. The stems are filled with sap, and it's a real sticky, gummy sap. You could squeeze that out, roll it into little balls, and eat it like candy. The leaves can be cooked and eaten like spinach. The rhizomes can be eaten like potatoes. And you will either need this or a spade or something to get the rhizomes out. Now, my husband has disked right along the edges of some of these, and he said, then the rhizomes are all laying up on top of the ground. That'd be a good time to collect them. They contain vitamin A and C, calcium and phosphorus, and the seeds are a high fiber grain. Curly Dock, this has got so many different names. Alan said his dad always called that tobacco weed. The leaves are tart, they've got oxalic acid, so again, it can hinder the absorption of calcium. If you've got kidney problems or gout, you probably don't want to eat too many of these leaves. You can pull the shoots and peel them and use them. Let the seeds get completely mature. These are the seeds. And well, some of them are already falling off. Dry the seed heads in a paper bag, shake them off the stalk. You can use the seeds whole in bread, granola, porridge. You can grind them and add them to flour. Elderberry. There's clusters of fruit on a woody shrub or small tree. They're found along the roadsides in damp areas. The leaves are bipinnate, which means opposite on a branch, with 5 leaves on each side. Now that might be important in identifying that what you're seeing is actually an elderberry. The flower is white with 5 petals. The seeds contain hydrocyanic acid, so don't eat the fruit raw, because that can lead to mild cyanide poisoning if you consume too many. That's raw. So just don't eat them raw. Berries can be used to make jams, jellies, and syrups, and it is delicious. They are thought to be antiviral, so good to eat these or take these syrups during flu and cold season. And they're also a source of vitamin A and C, potassium and iron. And the flowers, and I didn't put a picture of the flowers, but the flowers are white and they're in those clusters like that too. They can be used in pancakes and muffins or to make tea. Bet you never thought you could eat goldenrod. The leaves can be cooked and eaten like spinach. Do you notice that a lot of these weeds are comparable to spinach? The flowers make an attractive salad garnish. The dried flowers can be used for tea, which contains more antioxidants than green tea. After the Boston Tea Party, colonists turned to goldenrod tea, and they referred to it as Liberty tea. The dried flowers and leaves can be ground and used to stop bleeding. This contains vitamin C. Now, this plant has gotten bad publicity. Everybody thinks they're allergic to goldenrod. Very few people are allergic to goldenrod. But guess what blooms at the same time? Ragweed. And many people are allergic to ragweed. So goldenrod is not a common allergen, but because we associate hay fever with that season, it's actually the ragweed that's causing the problems. Stinging nettle. This likes moist places too. Collect it early as soon as the snow disappears and it comes up. It has bristly hairs that cause a painful sting. So they're hard to get out of your skin and they create this nasty rash. So if you're harvesting stinging nettle, wear gloves, cover your arms, legs, and feet. The top tender leaves can be used for soup, tea, or cooked vegetable. The dry leaves can be used for breads, omelets, casseroles, smoothies, and tea. The seeds can be collected and eaten, and it is a stimulant, so eat it in small quantities. In this one, the seeds can interfere with drugs for hypertension and diabetes. and it can give adverse effects if mixed with morphine or alcohol. So don't have an alcoholic beverage while you're eating your stinging nettle. It can be overstimulating and prevent you from sleeping. So you might want to sprinkle the seeds in small quantities on your morning yogurt or add them to your breads. Things to try. Catnip tea made from the dry leaves. It is very calming. There's the dandelion jelly. Lasagna can be, just add all kinds of mixed greens to your lasagna. So you could put some lamb's quarters in it and some mallow in it. And it adds a lot of vitamin A. You can just use your regular lasagna recipe and layer it in with your sauce layer. Cream of lamb quarter soup. I've got 2 recipes for lamb's quarter soup up here. One contains just lamb's quarter, one also contains zucchini. Pickled purslane and plantain seed bread. So any seed bread recipe that you have, like for flax bread, you could substitute plantain seeds or just add some more. Oh, they look tasty.
Are we gonna get any of those samples at your, the walk? No, I mean, all of those.
Oh.
The garden luncheon.
Oh, the garden lunch. That's
my input.
Yeah, that's a thought. Okay. Now there are also good e-resources. This one is really fun, The Black Forager on YouTube. And she talks you through some of the different plants that she uses. And then there's a couple there from the University of California. Yes, we are not in California, but this site has plant identification guides in it. And some of those plants grow here too. On the books, the Elias, I got a typo there. That is actually Thomas Elias, rather than Elias for the author. So, any questions?
Wow.
Have you ever
Okay.
heard of Sticky Willie?
No. That sounds like one of those common names that's probably different everywhere.
Well, my daughter and family are in London, or in the UK, living, and my 10-year-old grandson makes sourdough bread, and he was marketing it, or like people at church and stuff would buy some from. So a little 5-year-old Ever needed to, make something too, to make a little money. So they have a gal that lives with them, and she went home somewhere to another country over there. And she came home with a recipe. She called it sticky weed. So then I Googled sticky weed, and then it said Sticky Willie. But it's got a square stem.
So it's in the mint family.
Yeah. So anyway, that didn't work so well for him. Because it was green. Oh, so anyway, Sticky Willie, that was, yeah.
And funny name.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure Emily did say, she said sticky weed, but here it's really Sticky Willie, or that's what Google said it
Huh.
was.
But it didn't give you, did you
Well,
give
I
you a
did.
scientific name?
I don't know. I did. I'll have to look it up again.
Well, I do have cookies here for you. You can eat the fresh leaves of the purslane. But like I said, I don't have enough cookies for everybody, so you may need to share. And then I've got this purslane pickles here too, so. I have recipes, but these are my recipes that I use. So please, if you take a picture, if you want to use the recipe. Yes.
I have a question on the mint family. In general, could you in general say a mint family are all pretty edible? I was at the garden walk at Vermilion this weekend. She was saying anise hyssop, which is a favorite pollinator plant, she said, here, have some Anna Sissup, so we're all
I'll bet.
pulling off the leaves and eating.
Yeah,
the
I
leaves.
didn't think of that being a weed, so, but it might be in here.
Yeah, I don't- it could be, it's so dang invasive.
Well, the
So-
mints
so-
are, all the mints are. I'm not finding it in here, so I'm sure that's because they don't consider it a weed. They consider that like a native or ornamental plant.
And any kind of weedy, like self-heal, mint.
I don't know,
Anyway,
not familiar with that one.
Marlis,
Yes.
when you said, the plantain seed heads can be eaten like corn, what do you mean by that?
If you just cook these, you can eat them like you would eat corn. It tastes like corn. Well, and maybe they're saying that because it kind of looks like an ear of corn in miniature. Okay, come on up and
That was amazing.
thank you.
There are too many questions because our heads are spinning with all the things we learned.
Well, you know, you can go back. The library puts all of these online. So if you go to the library's website and go to the Seed Library, you can access these. I think they're all on YouTube now, aren't they? Yeah, they're all on YouTube. Or you could go directly to YouTube and go to Yankton Seed Library and find this presentation and the ones we've done in the past. So,
So when is the garden tour, or is that just for master gardeners?
no, the garden tour was in June.
Oh, you bought tickets for it?
Yeah,
Oh, I went, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not a different one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, come on up and take a look at the books and the recipes and try. I put napkins there so you can try something. The fresh purslane is tasty.
Right on a sandwich.
Oh, it is still a